Hello, this is Jimmy Lennon Jr., and a big shout out to my friends at Valera Boxing. It's showtime!
Valera Boxing, idol, shout out.
This Friday, April 22nd, the babyface assassin Paul Butler of England will face Jonas One Punch Sultan of the Philippines on the Probellum card at M&S Bank Arena in Liverpool, England for the interim WBO World Bantamweight Championship. Paul Butler boasts a record of 33 wins and 2 losses, 15 of those wins by knockout. Butler last defeated Willibaldo Garcia this past June in the UK. Butler has only fought in the UK. Jonas Sultan boasts a record of 18 wins and 5 losses, 11 of those wins by knockout. Sultan is coming off a unanimous decision victory over Carlos Caraballo this past October in the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden in New York. Magandang mga kaibigan, Pilipinas, Filipinas. I'm Chris from Valera Boxing, and I'm joined by Monty, Carlo, and Philip. Monty, Carlo, Philip, welcome, Mr. Cayo.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Of course, this fight was originally scheduled for a world title defense for John Riel Casimero versus Butler. A lot has happened to John Riel Casimero since his hand was raised against Guillermo Rigondeaux, including not making it to the scale in Dubai with a documented case of gastritis. This time around in Liverpool, he was caught using a sauna, which isn't allowed by the British Commission. We can talk about all of those issues and developments, but that's not our focus. The WBA has replaced Quadro Alas with One Punch, and it is for the WBO Interim World Bantamweight Championship. Paul Butler emerged as the mandatory challenger to Casimero, while Jonas Sultan defeated Carlos Caraballo pretty convincingly. Despite the scorecards with 4 knockdowns, I don't think Paul Butler won his fight versus Garcia. Garcia was a better fighter. In that one, he pushed the pressure, and while Butler did drop Garcia in the first round, I believe Garcia won a large majority of the rounds the rest of the way. Paul Butler has a lot of experience in the ring, all of which is taking place in the UK. This will be a pro-Butler crowd, more so than the pro-Caraballo crowd in New York. And by the way, that did not faze Jonas Sultan in the ring at all. As he said in interviews after the press conference, they can't help Butler fight in the ring. He's been in this environment before, and in the end, in the Garden, the New York crowd embraced him. Carlo, your thoughts for this Friday?
Excited for this fight. Who would have thought that Jonas would get this opportunity now? And I'm very happy. I'm sure we're all happy for him. We all know him. We all witnessed him in the Hulu Theater against Caraballo, and it seemed like it was a perfect setup fight for Caraballo to win, and he was there, proved everyone wrong, and like you said, he was embraced by the crowd, he was embraced by the New York people, and it was a great feeling, and I think he can do it again. You know what? He will do it again, Chris.
Monty.
Yeah, it's a hell of an opportunity for Jonas Sultan. I was also part of that crowd, with you when all of us there actually, and had a wonderful witness to his emergence on the world stage. So I think this is a great opportunity to take on a solid contender. Butler is a solid fighter, nothing too spectacular. I do expect Jonas Sultan's hand to be raised, and it's going to be a great fight. I just couldn't be more excited for an action-packed fight because Butler definitely will trade, he will exchange. And I'm actually curious to see, how Sultan will deal with Butler's evasion, because he did quite a bit of running in the Garcia fight. So I'm curious to see how we unpack that.
Yeah, just like you guys, when I heard the news, I was very, very excited. It's a dream come true for Jonas. I think it's just about whether Jonas is in shape and ready for this this upcoming fight. We know probably Butler is going to be in shape and ready for this fight because he's been ready for the past year now with Casemiro pulling out twice already. So with Jonas, it's just a matter of if he's ready and in shape. It's like someone said, it's better to stay ready than get ready, and hopefully Jonas has been staying ready this whole time.
It's interesting in a weird kind of way. There was a lot of unknown headed into this fight. And if you think about it, it's really an unknown thought from both of these fighters because they don't know who they're fighting and they don't know if they're fighting. Paul Butler had to prepare for two fighters, knowing that if Casemiro for some reason did not make it to the scale or make it to the ring, Jonas Sultan was already the replacement as deemed by the WBO back in their ruling a couple months ago. So that's one case of unknown. The other unknown for Jonas, who's actually been in England for quite some time, for a couple weeks now, he's been there preparing, not knowing if he's going to fight at all. But as they say, and as you say, Phil, it's better to be ready than not ready at all. And as we all know, speaking with Jonas and just, observing and watching what we can about Jonas, he's always been ready. This guy is in tremendous shape. So the unknown about the fight is all thrown out the window now. We know it's going to be Paul Butler versus Jonas Sultan. Let's talk about the fight itself and what each of them needs to do to come out as the new WBO interim world champion. Monty, what are Paul Butler's keys to victory?
Well, his keys to victory is he has to perform the fight of his life. He has to earn Jonas Sultan's respect very early on with a big left hook or a big right hand, something of that nature. Because I just think he's stepping up in class and in talent and skill by fighting Jonas Sultan, who is world class, has a lot of talent, has a lot of skills, variety of punches, wonderful footwork. He's exciting, he's dynamic, and Butler is steady Eddie. So what does he have to do to win? He has to earn Jonas's respect because Jonas can take big shots, and he's going to be in there for a fight. He also has to maybe do more body work and try to really test just how in shape Jonas has remained in between fights, because it's a long grind, because he himself had a fight that we all saw. So I'd also like to see him improve his defense too, because he was easily put on the back foot by Garcia in his last fight, and I wasn't too impressed with his ability to counter or to try to take some steam off of an aggressive opponent, which we think Jonas will bring the fight in a similar, probably more dynamic manner than Garcia was able to do. It was very simplistic, kind of like a caveman coming in. So keys to victory: more strategic, work Jonas's body, and then earn his respect early in the fight, or else I think it'll spiral out of control.
Phil, what does Paul Butler need to do on
Friday? His best strategy is probably to box Jonas. If he sits there in the pocket with Jonas and trades with him, Jonas has the edge in power. And if he catches one on the chin from Jonas, he's going to take a seat just like Caraballo did against Jonas. So he needs to jab, keep him at the end of his jab, circle, keep his back off the ropes, stay out of the corner, and just not try and trade with Jonas. If he trades with Jonas, Jonas could probably maybe even put him away. I know Butler hasn't hit the canvas too many times in his career. I don't think he's ever been knocked out, I don't believe. So, yeah, he just needs to box him and keep him at a distance with his defense and footwork.
Yeah, we all saw that fight with Garcia. I mean, Butler's in great shape. Whether he stands there and trade with Jonas or moves around like what he did with Garcia. I mean, Garcia put the pressure on him, and he was still moving around even after going against the ropes, blocking a lot of those punches, the combinations. A lot of those rounds, his back was against the ropes. I don't think he won those rounds, but he survived those rounds. So it shows that he's in great shape. He has good defense. He blocked a lot of those punches, but I'm sure that's not how you win rounds. But I agree with Monty and Philip. his key to victory is going to be how to use the jab and box Jonas. We all know it's pretty clear that Jonas is going to be the aggressor, and he has to be the aggressor, and it shows that. And I also agree with Phil where he has the power, beating Caraballo, which is 14 wins with 14 knockouts. He was willing to trade in there, and he dropped him 4 times. So, so his keys to victory is to box. Yeah, that's how he won with his fight as against an aggressor like Garcia. And I'm sure they're going to believe in that and stick to that game plan.
So I agree with you, Carlo. Paul Butler has tremendous conditioning, and he could certainly go deep water. And he's going to need to consider. He's going to have to go, or there's the potential for him to go deep water in this one to beat Jonas Sultan. Jonas Sultan actually was dropped. He was dropped at Caraballo, though. I don't think it was a drop. In fact, I think it was more of a mix-up of feed or a slip, but it was technically considered a drop. But the point still remains, and you mentioned this, Carlo, Caraballo did mix it up with Jonas Sultan, and that's what Paul Butler is going to need to do. Yes, he's going to have to box, but Jonas is just his trajectory and improvement. Jonas's improvement, his trajectory has been sky high over the last 2 fights. And he's evolved and matured a lot and developed a lot of skill that he didn't have several years ago. Even when he defeated John Riel Casimero, that's not the same fighter that we have here today in Liverpool or in 2022 or what we saw in New York versus Caraballo in October. This is a different fighter. He is improving, and I think his record doesn't necessarily state who he is right now. I think what's most important for us to realize for Jonas Sultan is what we saw the last 2 fights. A guy with tremendous power and someone who will come forward and is willing to take your head off. Paul Butler is going to have to figure out a way to go into deep water with that and mix it up and not just try and win rounds, but he's going to have to try and win those rounds convincingly. I know he's at home. He's going to have the home crowd. You guys already know that Liverpool crowd or that English crowd is going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be loud, but that's not going to faze Jonas at all. So Butler is going to have to find a way to put some damage and put the pressure himself on Jonas Sultan, because Jonas Sultan is not going to back up. So with those thoughts, what does Jonas Sultan need to do, or what are his keys to victory to come out as the new WBO interim world bantamweight champion on Friday?
Well, as he's going to be the aggressor, and he's gonna have to go in there and throw combinations, and when he threw those combinations against Caraballo, it landed. So he knows pretty much how to throw it. We all know that. In addition to that, we all saw that he's been boxing a lot and working out here at the top ranked gym. And we've seen him spar some Olympians, Duke Reagan, Cashflow Diaz, and those are some quick fighters. I'm sure they were perfect and were close to mimicking, or if anything, same style as Paul Butler. And those guys can move. We all know they're in great shape. They stay in shape. They can box. So I think that I agree with you, Chris, with that experience. I think it's not the same Jonas Sultan from years ago. I think he learned a lot between Caraballo and now, and his ability to fight and box has increased. So I'm sure he leveled up, and we all know that his nickname is One Punch. So we all know that he has that power.
At any time, he can deliver that one punch. That's right.
Yeah, I even think Jonas has quite a sneaky snapping jab. When he wants to jab, he's got a stiff one, and it worked against Caraballo very, very suddenly. So that's an underrated aspect of his game, and I really think he's dynamic. And as long as he's not overconfident, and then sticks to the same kind of game plan brought against Caraballo, I think he's in for a good night.
Yeah, it's like you said before, Chris. Butler has a great gas tank. It didn't even look like he got tired his last fight against Garcia. So what Jonas needs to do to slow him down, he needs to go to that body, take that gas tank away from him.
Yeah.
If he neglects going to the body against Butler, Butler has pretty good footwork. You know, he was able to get out a lot of bad situations against Garcia, even though Garcia was pressing the pace. He should take Garcia's strategy and just, be the aggressor, like Carlos said, stay in his chest. He also needs to cut the ring off.
Yeah.
But one thing that Garcia did that I didn't like, he was swinging pretty wide most of the time. And when you swing wide, it's easy to see the shots coming. That's why Butler was able to pick off the shots with his arms pretty easily when he was against the ropes. So Jonas needs to mix it up, be more versatile than Garcia, probably maybe even throw more straight shots than, looping wide shots, more short shots than Garcia, and keep the pace up. But I would say the main thing that he needs to do is definitely go to the body. Go to the body, slow him down. When Butler's hands start to drop, that head's gonna open up, and hopefully, he'll put him out and get him with that one punch.
Well, there are times too when we saw Butler stop and trade from time to time. He will sit there and trade with Garcia and move around again. So we saw that it shows that he's not afraid to trade punches.
I pray that he does that against Jonas.
Yeah. Well, and we'll see with that. I don't think he is a knockout guy. Maybe he can knock down someone, which he did with Garcia, but I don't think he's a knockout power guy that can take out Sultan. Sultan took a lot of shots from Caraballo, and we all know what's the issue on that of why it landed. But he took a lot of shots from Caraballo with 14 knockouts, and he didn't drop, he didn't drop Jonas. Caraballo didn't drop Jonas clean. All right, whatever knockdown happened was it wasn't a flush shot. So we witnessed
It was a slip anyway.
Yeah, we witnessed Jonas take punches.
Should have been 5-0. There's no way. It should have been 5-0 in knockdowns, not 4-1, but whatever.
We've seen him take punches from ringside, and he took it. And I don't think Butler has the same power as Caraballo. Yeah. No disrespect, but he likes to throw his punches while moving. So, it doesn't sit much on his punches except when he wants to maybe change the game plan and then move around a lot more.
Definitely, we have to be ready. And Jonas Sultan's team has to be ready because home cooking could come into play in that he could thoroughly dominate this man, even with the Caraballo fight. That was very suspicious scoring for a thorough domination with multiple knockdowns. I'm worried that this taking place in the United Kingdom, if it's any way close, this is going to go to the hometown boy. So the question is, can he put down a sufficiently violent, domination or even knock the guy out? Because I'm curious what you guys think. Will the judges allow a close fight to be accurately scored for Jonas Sultan?
No, I agree. Jonas either has to knock him out or put him down as many times as he put down Caraballo, convincingly. Because if it's like maybe even one knockdown that Jonas scores against Butler, the decision might swing towards Butler at the end. So, we'll see.
Okay, Carlo.
Yeah, it has to be convincing. That's all. That's besides the point. But we're here. We're here now. They're going to do what they need to do. Butler even said it. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight, and he don't want to give out too much, but he knows that there's going to be times. He even said that there's going to be times that him and Jonas are going to have to trade right there in the middle of the ring. So I'm excited for that. It looks like he's not going to back down. He knows he's confident in his skills. He knows he can beat Jonas and vice versa with Jonas. So it'll be great. And I think Jonas is coming in with a different approach too, with one of their friends passing away. Ali. So I think we heard Brendan Gibbons even said that, they want to take that, they want to dedicate that fight to him and take that belt home.
I think there's one key to victory for Jonas that cannot be overlooked that will certainly help his case. And Carla, you kind of touched on it when you were bringing up the Caraballo fight. I want to see Jonas have much more defensive responsibility here because he did get tagged versus Caraballo quite a bit. He's a tough dude. I mean, what we need for this to be convincing is, there's a bit of, swim and don't get wet. We know Jonas's style is not exactly the style where he's going to box and evade. He's going to want to mix it up and go toe to toe and try to take Paul Butler's head off. But that comes with a price. And sometimes that price is getting hit yourself. For this to be very convincing, just say it's not a knockout and it does go to the scorecards, which could very well be the case. Again, Paul Butler, you mentioned, has tremendous conditioning. He has ability. He in fact was a world champion at one point as well. I want to see some defensive responsibility from Jonas. I think that's a very important key to victory. If he wins convincingly, obviously winning by knockout is the most convincing way. But it has to be overwhelming in a way where, all of that pressure and all of the connected punches are coming from Jonas and not from the other direction from Paul Butler. I think that's a very important key to victory for Jonas, and something I hope that he has improved on. We know that his conditioning is supposedly improved because he's been working with Memo Heredia in Las Vegas, who is a wild card. Also, he's been working with Jorge Captillo, who was his head trainer, versus Sharon Carter. He has a world of experience and a world of expertise behind him, including his time with Coach Joan Jimenez, who was his head trainer against Carlos Caraballo. He is prepared for this opportunity, and I think if he just puts it all together, again, very, very important to have some defensive responsibility, because I am supremely convinced that his offensive output will be what it always is, if not even better, because he's going to try and win that world championship that he's wanted for so long. So with that, let's go to predictions here. Monty, who do you have for this Friday?
Okay, I'm going to be the downer. I predict a robbery. I predict that those exchanges that you're talking about, the crowd will go crazy and overreact to whatever Paul Butler does. All right, no matter how good Sultan hits him, if there's any touch going against him, they're going to cheer for Butler. All right, it'll be a split decision win for Paul Butler because of the home cooking. They already gave it to Garcia. They already ruined. They fixed the Garcia fight. That should have been a Garcia win. I agree. Right? They're gonna do the same to Sultan. That's my prediction. Robbery from the United Kingdom.
Damn, yeah, that's that's definitely a possibility, Mont. But I'm gonna go with our boy Jonas Sultan. I believe that it's like Chris said, he's gotten so much better with these past few fights that it's gonna show when he fights Butler, and I think he's gonna put him away. I think he's gonna knock his ass out. Butler's gonna get knocked out. I'm gonna say 8th round knockout. Jonas Sultan.
Nice, Phil.
In UK, in front of his people.
Dang,
you know what?
He's gonna have to.
Hey, knockout in the UK will be a great gift. All right. If that happens, I'm all for it. But like with the way Butler moves, it's gonna be, it's with Jonas coming after him. It's gonna take some energy too. It's gonna take some kind of conditioning to get to him too. So I'm thinking, I'm staying with Jonas always with Jonas. All right, but I'm gonna go with split decision. Jonas Sultan.
I have Jonas Sultan to become the new WBO Interim World Bantamweight Champion. Leave your comments and let us know who you think will win this Friday from M&S Bank Arena in Liverpool, England for the WBO Interim World Bantamweight Championship. The babyface assassin Paul Butler and Jonas One Punch Sultan.
Yo, Jonas Sultan.
Jonas.
One punch, baby.
Watch out for home cooking.
Do it for your family.
Woo! Come on. got this jacket from Jonas, by the way, guys.
Home cooked.